Boy has his gender changed because he slept with a doctor's daughter. The doctor ends up sleeping with him. Meet Robert Ledgard, a brilliant plastic surgeon with an unusual obsession, developing synthetic skin that can withstand burns and fend off insect bites. His experiments unfold in a secluded estate where he keeps a mysterious woman named Vera, closely monitored by the vigilant servant, Marilia. Vera, confined to her room, receives sustenance through a dumbwaiter, surrounded by clothes in tatters, forced to wear only a snug body stocking. How will this tale turn out by the end? Strap in, movie enthusiasts, it's recap time. Today we will be recapping a film named The Skin I Live In from the year 2011. I hope you enjoy the video, so let's start. One day Robert, carrying a curious bag, heads to his in-home laboratory, eager to examine a packet of blood under the microscope. After scrutinizing it, he places the blood into a peculiar machine. Later in his room, Robert gazes at a massive screen displaying Vera sleeping naked. Taking a small box of opium, he enters her room, only to discover her unconscious with deep cuts on her wrists, breasts, and stomach. Shocked, he rushes her to an operating theater to treat her wounds. The next morning, Marilia brings animal blood for Robert's experiments. In the lab, he takes out a petri dish with a fabric-like substance, shapes it into a mannequin. This is the synthetic skin he's been perfecting. Using the same material, he shapes Vera, assuring her she won't feel burns anymore. To prove it, he lights a flame directly on her thigh. The story takes a dark turn as Vera, despite being physically healed, expresses a preference for death over the torment of her captive life. Fast forward a few days, and Robert is at a medical symposium, proudly showcasing his groundbreaking invention, the synthetic skin resistant to burns and insect bites, named after his late wife, Gal. The president of the scientific community suspects transgenesis and privately questions Robert, who confesses to using pig cells for the process. With illegal transgenesis violating bioethics, the president forbids further research, threatening to report it. Unable to continue his work, Robert, left with no options, grants Vera the synthetic skin, proclaiming her to have the best skin in the world. Curious about her fate, Vera questions Robert about his plans for her now. She suggests living together, but he dismisses the idea, leaving her desperate. Attempting to seduce him and prevent his exit, Vera's efforts are in vain as Robert leaves the room. The next morning, Marilia, the only remaining servant, chides Robert for using his late wife's face on Vera. She advises him to either kill Vera or keep her hidden forever. Robert, now without servants, fires everyone but Marilia. A peculiar turn of events occurs when Zika, Marilia's son, arrives at Robert's estate in a tiger costume and face mask. Zika claims to be there for the carnival celebration and to visit his mother. Seeking refuge from the police after a recent jewelry store robbery, Zika requests Marilia's help in hiding. Reluctant due to Zika's past actions against Robert, Marilia eventually allows him in, but the real motive is his evasion from the police. Discovering Vera on a screen, Zika mistakes her for Robert's deceased wife and demands to see her. Marilia, refusing to comply, threatens to shoot him. In a scuffle, a gunshot is fired, alarming Vera, who queries Marilia through the intercom. Panicking at the silence, Vera becomes increasingly anxious. In the kitchen, Marilia restrains Zika in a chair, and he heads upstairs to search for Vera, unaware that she lacks the key to open the door. In the tense moments that follow, Zika, armed with the key from Marilia, attempts to enter Vera's room. Swiftly, she kicks the door, causing him to tumble backward. Despite Vera's efforts to escape, Zika grabs her legs, preventing her from running away. Overpowering her, he kisses her against her will. In an unsettling exchange, Zika questions how she survived the fire he seemingly left her in. Terrified, Vera pleads for release. The situation escalates as Zika tears her clothes, assaulting her further. It's revealed that Zika plans to hold her hostage, coercing Robert into fixing his face. Carrying Vera into the room, Zika forces himself on her. Unbeknownst to them, Marilia witnesses the horrifying scene on a screen. Just in the nick of time, A furious Robert arrives, flinging the door open and firing a shot at Zika. He immediately pulls Vera into a tight embrace, putting an end to the assault. The following day, as Marilia cleans the mattress stained with Zika's blood, shocking revelations surface. Robert and Zika are revealed to be brothers from different fathers, a fact Marilia had kept hidden. She gave birth to Robert while serving in the Ledgard household, and Zika was the result of an affair with a servant. Although Mrs. Ledgard adopted Robert, Marilia has always been his caretaker. Zika, influenced by bad company, left home, and Marilia hadn't seen him until he returned, seeking refuge. The narrative takes a turn back in time. Gal, Robert's late wife, discovered Marilia hiding Zika in the outhouse. Gal had fallen in love with Zika so much that they ran away together, but their journey ended tragically in a car crash. Zika survived with minor scars, leaving Gal severely burned. Robert, determined, cared for her until she showed signs of improvement. Gal heard their adopted child Norma singing, bringing hope. However, when Gal saw her deformed reflection, she jumped out of a window, leaving Norma traumatized. Years later, Norma took her own life in a similar manner. Marilia shares this haunting past with Vera. Meanwhile, Robert returns after disposing of Zika's body. Taking Vera back to his room, they share an unsettling night. In a dream from 6 years ago, Robert and Norma attend a wedding party. Unable to find Norma, he discovers her in a distressing situation. Misunderstandings arise, leading to Norma spending time in a mental institution and eventually taking her own life. Meanwhile, Vera experiences the same night in her dreams, but her visions center around a young boy named Vicente. Working at his mother's dress shop, Vicente attends the wedding party where he encounters Norma through mutual friends. After enjoying the festivities, they find themselves alone in the garden. Vicente, already under the influence of drugs, asks Norma about the pills she's taken. Misinterpreting the question, Norma lists her prescribed medications. As they share a moment, Vicente kisses Norma, and she discards her heels and cardigan, expressing her desire to be naked due to clothing-induced claustrophobia. The two share intimate moments, but Norma's panic sets in when a familiar song plays. It's the same song she was singing when her mother took her own life. Panicking and screaming, Vicente tries to silence her, leading to a slap that causes Norma to lose consciousness. Confused and unsure of what to do, Vicente adjusts Norma's clothes and hastily leaves on his bike. Unfortunately, Robert notices him as he departs. Norma is later admitted to the Neuropsychiatric Institute due to her deteriorating mental health. Robert's frequent visits exacerbate her condition, prompting the doctor to suggest less frequent contact. Determined to seek justice, Robert tracks down Vicente and injects him with a sedative before keeping him captive. Chained and without food, Vicente's disappearance leads his mother to report to the police. Finding his bike at the bottom of a cliff, the authorities assume he is likely dead, but his mother refuses to accept this fate, believing he might have been kidnapped. Days later, Robert, having cleaned and shaved Vicente, brings him to the operating room. Vicente wakes up on the table, only to discover that he has undergone vaginoplasty. Robert reveals himself as the father of the girl assaulted at the wedding party. Claiming Vicente's drugged state at the time, he asserts a lack of memory. With a petite body, feminine breasts, and the support of a body stocking and face mask, Vicente is reshaped. While changing into the stocking, Vicente tricks Robert into helping with the zipper, then attacks him, seizing the key and attempting to escape. Robert, quick to react, locks the door remotely and confronts Vicente with a gun. Despite Vicente's desperate threats with a knife, he ultimately slits his own neck in a bid to end his life. Miraculously, Robert manages to save him from the brink of death. Several weeks later, the face mask is finally removed, unveiling a breathtaking face identical to Robert's late wife. Vicente, now renamed Vera, initially rebels against Robert, but over the 6-year transformation period, Vera's appearance has undergone a complete shift from male to female. Spending her days watching TV, scribbling on the walls, and practicing yoga, Vera has adapted to her new life. Marilia, brought into the house to care for Vera, notes the striking resemblance between Vera and Gal. In the present, Vera is no longer confined to her room and helps Marilia in the kitchen. However, Marilia remains hostile towards her. Vera lives with Robert and Marilia, occasionally allowed to leave the house with assistance. One day, while Marilia and Vera are out, Fulgencio, one of Robert's old colleagues, visits. He brings up the news article about missing Vicente and the fake documents used during the sex change operation. Accusing Robert of kidnapping Vicente, forging documents, and conducting forbidden biological experiments, Fulgencio sparks a confrontation. In her defense, Vera asserts that she is no longer Vicente and is with Robert willingly. Fulgencio leaves silently, unable to counter Vera's claim. Later, Vera notices a photograph of her past self as Vicente in a newspaper article about missing people. That night, she and Robert share an intimate moment. Vera mentions the pain she feels during vaginal intercourse, prompting Robert to suggest trying a different method. Vera recalls buying a lubricating cream earlier but can't find it. Robert suggests checking her purse downstairs, and Vera rushes to retrieve it. In a surprising turn, Vera places Robert's gun in her bag, along with the cream. Upstairs, she shoots Robert without hesitation. Marilia, alerted by the gunshot, rushes to check on the situation. Holding her own gun, she finds her dead son, but becomes Vera's next victim. In her dying breath, Marilia utters, "I knew it." After successfully eliminating both mother and son, Vera changes her clothes and leaves the house without looking back. In the next scene, Vera returns to her mother's shop and encounters Christina and her mother inside. Unable to recognize Vera, Christina assumes she's a customer and offers assistance. Vera breaks the news to Christina, revealing her true identity as Vicente, who escaped after all these years. She recounts her kidnapping, sex change operation, and the 2 murders she committed to break free. Vera confirms her identity to Christina by recounting their conversation from 6 years ago. Vera's mother appears, finding the girl emotional but unaware of the unfolding situation. As the movie concludes, Vera nervously reveals her true identity to her mother. Thank you for being a part of Black's Movie Recaps. If these tales of mystery and intrigue sent shivers down your spine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Black's Movie Recaps for more bone-chilling narratives. Stay tuned, and until next time, stay captivated.